Looking at the beautiful woman sleeping on the couch, I was proud of my play last night. Suddenly, a large number of police officers broke down the door and directly pressed me to the ground. It turned out to be a joint operation of the FBI and the DK. Soon the police searched my home for a large amount of contraband and weapons and found 2 AK-47s. That meant I'd be facing serious criminal charges. But I wasn't the least bit panicked, just as I was confidently waiting for my father to fish myself out. My father compromised with the prosecutor to protect the family's interests. He told me to plead guilty and said he'd reduce my sentence to 4 years. With my father's persuasion, I chose to take the plea deal. At my trial, I frankly admitted my crime just when I thought it was all over. The judge's words sent me to hell. The judge found that I possessed a heavy weapon in order to preserve my own contraband in accordance with the minimum sentencing standards. I was sentenced to 10 years imprisonment. At this point, I realized that both I and my father had been punked by the prosecutor.
10 fucking years? Are you kidding me? You lied to me, Beaumont! You fucking lied to me!
After 7 months in prison, the guards suddenly brought me into the infirmary, and the people waiting for me inside were exactly the prosecutor who framed me and a woman. The woman claimed to be a special agent. The woman found out that I was doing well in prison, had developed friendships with all the major gangs, and had started a side business renting out colored magazines. While I was in prison, they saw in me this ability to harmonize with anyone they wanted to make a deal with me. Transfer to another prison, get close to a serial killer, and set out the location of a body. They suspected the killer had brutalized 14 teenage girls, but the police had only found one victim. They must find the other body before they can convict him. But the prison the serial killer was in was a hellhole for mentally ill inmates. I rejected the request outright, but the female agent offered to commute the remaining 9 years and 3 months of my sentence as long as the location of the body was found. Still, I didn't agree. The female agent said that the killer was appealing, and that once the appeal was successful, the killer would be released and more young girls would be killed. But I thought it had nothing to do with me. The female agent hoped that I would cherish the opportunity before me, then left me a copy of the killer's file, so that I could think carefully before making a decision. When I returned to my cell, I didn't resist opening that file, and the case records inside actually shocked me beyond belief. When I was hesitating, I asked my father, or my father thought that it was too dangerous to be held there, because all the inmates were lunatics sentenced to life imprisonment. So he told me to wait a little longer and try to find a way to get me out of there. But the bad news came soon after. My stepmother told me that my father had suffered a paralyzing stroke because of my stress and was no longer able to move on his own. My stepmother wanted me to accept that agreement, otherwise my father was afraid he wouldn't live long. For my father, I accepted their offer and was transferred to that psychiatric prison. The police created a new identity for me. My true identity was known only to the warden and the psychiatrist. But if I ever make a mistake and get my sentence increased, the agreement will be voided and I will be stuck here to continue serving my sentence. Just approaching this prison, I began to tremble with fear and wanted to quit, fearing that I would be trapped in this hell for all eternity. It was only after a final reassurance from the police that I made up my mind to fight to the death.